Since Keir Starmer took over the Labour Party, he and his allies have tried their very best to scrub all memories of the previous leader from public record. 3 years ago, Starmer removed the Labour whip from Jeremy Corbyn after a statement Corbyn made responding to the EHRC's report into anti-Semitism in Labour. Starmer then doubled down on his reasons for refusing to restore the whip to the Islington North MP, saying that his support of the Stop the War coalition in the wake of the war in Ukraine was going against Labour's support of NATO. And earlier this year, Starmer unequivocally said that Corbyn would not be allowed back into the Labour fold.
Let me be very clear about that. Jeremy Corbyn will not stand for Labour at the next general election as a Labour Party candidate. What I said about the party changing, I meant, and we are not going back. And that is why Jeremy Corbyn will not stand as a Labour candidate at the next general election.
In March 2023, this stance became formal Labour policy. Labour's ruling body, the NEC, passed a motion proposed by Starmer that would ban it from selecting Corbyn as a candidate at the next general election. But the NEC is made up of party bigwigs and often disproportionately represents whatever faction is at the top of the Labour Party. In contrast, constituency Labour parties represent members on the ground, aka the grassroots. And members of Jeremy Corbyn's CLP have just backed him almost unanimously to stay on as their MP. In a motion passed last night by 98% of attendees, Corbyn's local party said it should be their, quote, democratic right to choose their own MP. Here's what that motion said. This CLP would like to thank our sitting MP, Jay Corbyn, for his commitment and service to the people and want to express that it should be our democratic right to select our MP. 60 delegates representing CLP members were in attendance at the meeting. No one spoke against the motion, and there was one abstention on the vote. In response, the former Labour leader signalled he was likely to run as an independent against the party he has served for 40 years, saying, quote, I love my job and I want to carry on doing it. He added this. 4 million children are living in poverty. 250,000 are homeless. Thousands are struggling with stress and anxiety. As the government creates record levels of inequality and hardship, we desperately need a political strategy that inspires people to believe in a fairer, kinder, and greener world. I am proud to represent Islington North in Parliament. I spent the last 40 years campaigning alongside my community for a redistribution of wealth, ownership, and power. That's what I will continue to do. To speculate, this is the exact headache that Keir Starmer was hoping to avoid. He was banking on Jeremy Corbyn not being willing to run as an independent, knowing that it would likely get him expelled from his beloved Labour Party. But by making it clear that Corbyn couldn't stand as a Labour MP, full stop, ever again, Starmer forced a decision. Poor politicking once again from Mr. Forensic. Does this show a gap, Sean, between Labour Party management and the interests of grassroots members?
The CLP here in question was Islington North, which is, Jeremy Corbyn's constituency, in which he has always been hugely popular. And of course, they are going to be somewhat aggrieved that they are being told by Labour Party management that they cannot have their sort of sitting MP as the Labour candidate. I would say that I certainly think what it is indicative of is this sort of baffling OTT strategy. Even if you enter into the logic of Keir Starmer and, the Labour right, I think it's quite baffling that the sort of huge amount of energy expended and time expended on burying Jeremy Corbyn and the memory of Jeremy Corbyn, to me, seems hugely out of touch. And as you say, poor politicking, because whether they like it or not, Jeremy Corbyn represented, was an emanation of a huge movement among particularly young and grassroots members of the Labour Party who wanted some kind of change. That project didn't work. It is interesting to me that Keir Starmer has no interest in trying to absorb those concerns at all, the ones that led to the election of Jeremy Corbyn. Instead, it is this sort of determination to stamp him out, to completely sort of eradicate any memory of him. And Starmer spends a lot of energy defining himself in opposition to Corbyn, more so than in opposition to Rishi Sunak or to the Tories. And I think that is extremely unwise and short-sighted, because he's showing no curiosity about harnessing in any way the power of huge mobilization of young and quite passionate grassroots members that Jeremy Corbyn and the Corbyn project represented and answered their call.